What's going on, everybody? Derek Larger here, bringing you another video of some things that have happened a couple of weeks now. Today we're going to be talking about the NCAA champ, the Virginia Cavaliers, and their road to victory. We're going to be talking about maybe the Reds might be back on track. You never know after what just happened a couple days ago. And we also have Magic Johnson stepping down from the Lakers. What does that do to the Lakers, and what does that do to him? First, we're going to start off with the NCAA champs, the Virginia Cavaliers. Congratulations to them. I'm sure that people probably know, the last year for them has been absolutely insane. They went from being the first team ever to lose to a 16 seed in the NCAA tournament over a year ago to now having their first championship in school history in basketball. And if this doesn't prove anything, it just shows that this was the redemption tour for them. This was what they set out to do. They set out to, with the same guys, show that they rightfully belonged where they were. And let's be honest here, most people had Virginia as the underdog. I think it's been a long time since a number one seed in the NCAA tournament was actually the underdog in a lot of betting scenarios. I think a lot of people fell in love with the Texas Tech resume, which is what we normally do. We take the team who has the best resume, who's faced the best teams, go on to do stuff like that. Virginia hasn't really faced that great of teams. The best team they faced was Auburn, who was a fifth seed. Let's just remind people of that. Auburn was the fifth seed. They did make it to the NCAA Final Four. I will give them props for that one. It's just a matter of the fact that Virginia had a good game plan going, and especially early in the game, shots were not falling for either team. The first 10 minutes of that game were hard to watch for anyone because both teams were playing outstanding defense, and neither team was finding a very good shot. And unfortunately for Texas Tech, Virginia has a few more shot makers. They have more of the three-point shooters and things that a team needs in order to be able to pull out of a slump. Kyle Guy wasn't a huge factor in the game until late. Let me see. Ty Jerome was playing pretty well at the beginning. Was making an impact right away. And the big men for Virginia really held down the paint, made it almost impossible for them to do anything. And shout out to Texas Tech, too, for having the best season that they've ever had in school history. Congratulations to you guys. I know it wasn't the outcome that you wanted, but nothing to be disappointed about. You guys did an absolutely wonderful job giving us. This was the first time. This is the first time, I think, in a long time. I'm not sure if it was the first time ever or if it was the first time in a long time that two teams faced in the NCAA. Or no, it's actually the second time. It was when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson faced each other, actually. It was the first time and the only time before this that two teams faced each other in a championship that had never been there before. They never went to this. And it was the first time. And it's kind of weird to imagine that. But, so it was a tremendous story, a tremendous job by Virginia to stay calm and play their game and be able to facilitate the ball and be able to find gaps in Texas Tech's strong defense. Because you had a team that in Texas Tech that was the best defensive team in the tournament, and you had Virginia who slowed the pace down the best of any team in the entire NCAA. And ultimately, I think that's what helped Virginia, was slowing the pace down and making sure that Texas Tech did not have the ability to go out and beat them with their length. So congratulations to Virginia. What a tremendous season that you guys have had. And now we're going to talk about the Cincinnati Reds, who are now 2-8 through their first 10 games. Last time I talked about this a week ago, the Reds were obviously in a bad position. They still are when it comes to record standings, but what I saw last night against the Marlins, I watched that game online and saw the 14-0 win against the Marlins. It got me a little excited, I'm not gonna lie. I can't sit here and say I was not jumping around in my apartment from watching the Reds just go off on the bats and just back to back to back home runs by Suarez. I think it was Peraza, and I think it was Schebler. I don't remember who. And Matt Kemp almost had the back-to-back to back-to-back, but that's here near there. But the question was, are they back on track? Well, it depends on what you mean by back on track, because the Reds' bullpen is still having a little bit of issues, which is odd given the fact that they were very strong through the first 6 games of the season when the starting pitching was not. But the one constant that the Reds have had on their pitching so far this year that we can all agree on is Louie Castillo. I saw a ridiculous stat. Like, they said that he was one of the only few. He's the second person to have striken out 8 batters in consecutive games while only giving up 2 hits or less, and back-to-back starts like he has. And I think that was Randy Johnson's record back in the day. So Louie Castillo has been outstanding with his ability to go all around the pitching zone, and that changeup that he has been phenomenal. His changeup stats have been absolutely insane when it comes to the amount of pitches that have been strikes and everything, because nobody's able to hit that pitch right now. Nobody. I don't think he's only given up 1 hit or so off of that changeup so far this year. And the Reds' bats have finally started to come alive now. The last 3 games, they've actually been hitting the ball relatively well. They've actually been putting runs on the board. Just the problem was, except for that Marlins game where they shut out the Marlins, other than that, there really hasn't been much else of the pitching after that. But the first 5 games of the season, the Reds' pitching was actually doing pretty well. They were doing one of the top 5 pitching rotations in the MLB. But then the last 5 games, they've had a little bit of their setbacks. They've had a few issues with that, with the bullpen especially. But Louie Castillo has shown himself to be the true ace this year. Now, hopefully the Reds can continue with that pace with the pitching. Hopefully the bullpen just kind of settles down a little bit, which I think they will, because with Amir Garrett and Raisel Iglesias and Hernandez and all these other guys, I think they'll start to slow down a little bit. I think they've gained some confidence. And I think just after these last 3 games with the Reds with the suspension of Yasiel Puig and manager David Bell, I think that a lot of the people in the Reds organization have finally just gotten fired up. I think that Puig fight kind of, I would say, woke the Cincinnati Reds up. Kind of like, he said, I'm not going to sit back and just let these guys do this to my guys. I'm going to say something and do something about it. And I think that just kind of woke them up a little bit. And maybe they finally have sensed the urgency that they're in. And I know it's still early in the season. I get it. They're only like 2 or 3% into the season already. I get it. But the problem is that in the division that we're in, like I said before, you can't fall behind too many games. So hopefully this 14-0 win against Miami, yes, I know it is against the Miami Marlins. I get it. But you have to beat teams that you should beat. And this is a team that the Reds should beat more times than they should lose. And if the Reds have finally started to notice their bats waking up, then maybe the rest of the team will start to gain a little bit of confidence. Maybe here in the next couple weeks, the Reds start to climb towards climbing towards being 500 again. Hopefully by the end of April, the Reds are only a few games back from being 500. If they're like within 2 to 3 games of being 500, and then by the end of May they start to be above 500, then maybe we could start seeing something, a push towards the playoffs for later in the season. Again, I'm trying to be optimistic here. The Reds have obviously had their huge struggles early in the season, but after a 14-0 win like this at home to revigorate your crowd, this is exactly what the Reds needed. They absolutely needed a game like this to get themselves back on track and gain some confidence and give Cincinnati a reason to continue to support them even after such a horrible start of the season. Maybe now this will be the time for the Reds to finally start waking up and saying, we have what we need. Let's keep. All right. I hope everybody read the camera here. Okay. So now we are going to continue with the last topic, Magic Johnson stepping down from the Lakers as president of basketball operations. Now, there's a lot to take in here. I really don't have a set question for this. I mean, it's kind of hard to say one particular thing about this. Obviously, we know the reason why Magic Johnson wanted to leave, because he said he wanted to be Magic Johnson. Because he said he was sick and tired of dealing with what was basically the job of being the GM for the Los Angeles Lakers. He didn't like it anymore. He got sick and tired of it. He didn't want to be the executive and have to handle all the pressure and everything that came with it. Can we blame him? Not necessarily. Can we blame him for how he did it? Absolutely. Because the way Magic Johnson did this was not right, okay? And I know that a lot of people will probably say, oh, well, he's a human being. He's allowed to do whatever he wants. It's human right. Yes, it is your human right to do it. But it's also your human right to be moral and to be actually intelligent and sophisticated about it and actually show some pride. If you had enough pride to go to the media and do all this, then you should have enough pride to tell the owner of your franchise, hey, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. I can't. I have respect for you and the Lakers organization. I'm sorry for everything that has happened. I just want to leave now before I lose my mind and start to make bad decisions and things that would be bad for the Lakers. Then nobody would complain about this. And then everyone would say, oh, I mean, he stepped down because we can understand that. We can understand that he was in a bad situation from the moment he got there. He didn't make things any better for himself by mishandling a lot of things. And there are some people that are out there saying that the reason Magic Johnson is leaving because of a scandal that's going on by how he treated some of his employees while with the Lakers. I don't know about that, and we'll surely get some more information about it if indeed that comes out. But at the end of the day, I don't like what Magic Johnson did here. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's just I am upset about this because listen, I have been raised to say if you have a problem with somebody, you don't run away from it and you don't run to the media. You don't run to another person to solve your problems. You go and you face it yourself. You do what is right. This is not about Magic Johnson and his ability to do what he wants. He has the right to do whatever he wants to do. But there is a thing about being morally right and being a man and doing what you need to do that is right by the Lakers organization and by Jeannie Buss. I don't like how he handled this. I don't. And I think it's ludicrous. And, you know, this just kind of just puts the stamp on the Lakers season. You know, the Lakers, their players haven't developed as well as people thought they would. LeBron gets hurt. Half the team gets hurt. You have questions with Luke Walton as the head coach of the Lakers. Is he actually going to stick around? And now you finally have the stamp. Magic Johnson is leaving. One of the few things you had as the Lakers to say that might actually work for free agents to want to come to the Lakers. It's because you have Magic Johnson, one of the greatest players of all time. And now he's gone. He's gone because he knew the struggles. He knew the struggles. I don't blame him for leaving. I really don't. I don't blame him for leaving because I understand the problem. He knew it was hurting his reputation. He didn't want to have to deal with the struggles anymore because they felt overwhelming. I get it. I really do, Magic, but unfortunately that's what you signed up for. You know, you signed up for that. You signed up for it knowing that your reputation from on the court before to now what's going to happen in the office, it was going to catch up with you. And I understand now that it just got to be too much. I understand. You can do whatever you want. I just had a problem with the way he handled this, and now it's set the Lakers back even farther than what they've already done. So now what's going to happen to the Lakers? I don't know. But I think it's time for people to stop saying that LeBron had anything to do with this and LeBron is the GM and all this other stuff. Honestly, people, I think he might have just found another organization that is just as dysfunctional right now as the Cleveland Cavaliers were. Isn't that funny to think that the Lakers are one of the most dysfunctional organizations right now? That's weird, right? Because you just lost your GM because he said he couldn't handle it anymore. He couldn't handle the responsibility or the pressure and all the stress that was causing it to him. And you had all these players that kept getting hurt, that have several personalities, that are out here not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and everything is just falling apart. And it's not LeBron's fault that they're falling apart. This is the Lakers' fault. And I'm sorry. It just stinks. It really does stink because it makes you wonder what's going to happen at this point. Makes you wonder, are the Lakers going to ever bounce back? Should LeBron try to get himself out of there, or should he stick this out? I don't know. I think he's going to stay because he made a commitment, and I don't think he's a man to just break away from that commitment like that. But ultimately, we don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully, things work out for the Lakers. I really hope that, the Lakers organization can find another GM that works for them and helps to bring this team back on track. Well, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like and comment down below on anything else that I should talk about in the future. I'm open for anything that happens. Again, be sure to check out our NFL podcast, The Third Down Squad, on YouTube and on Spotify. Be sure to follow me and my podcast on Twitter. Until next time, guys, peace.